So remember the last time you got really drunk and made a fool of yourself? It was fun, wasn't it? Not just for you, but for everyone around you. That's right, that's called getting drunk. Hi, I'm Rima and welcome to yet another lesson. Now today's lesson is all about getting drunk. Now once in a while, getting drunk can be a lot of fun because you can really let your hair down and have a good time. Now what I have for you are some phrases in English that describe being drunk. So what fun, right? So the first one that I have for you is tipsy. That's right. Now tipsy means that you just had one or two drinks and you're beginning to feel the effects of those drinks and you're becoming a little unsteady on your feet, which means you're getting tipsy. So you could use this in a sentence by saying something like, you know what, I'm a little tipsy, which means I'm beginning to feel the first effects of having my drink. And what I've seen out of experience is tipsy is used mostly for women. So if there's a very pretty girl at a party next to you and she's kind of feeling a little unsteady on her feet, you can give her that winning smile and tell her, are you feeling a little tipsy? Do you need some help? I'm sure she'll get talking to you and you never know where things go after that. So that's all about tipsy for you, when someone is just beginning to get drunk. And mostly you can find out whether or not a person is tipsy by the way they're walking. Suddenly you'll see that their feet are slightly unsteady. That means yes, they're getting a little tipsy. Now the next one on my list is buzzed. Yeah. Now buzzed also means that yes, you've had your initial first one or two drinks and you're kind of feeling the effects. But the difference between tipsy and buzzed is that when you say you're buzzed, it means that you can feel the effects in the way you're thinking, or the way you're feeling, or the way your thoughts are flowing. It's not got so much to do with the way you're walking, whether you're unsteady or not. It actually means, okay, you're feeling some sort of a buzz, in your head, or your thoughts are kind of slowing down. So that is the meaning of buzzed. Yes, it's almost the same thing, just beginning to get drunk and feel the buzz or the effect. So you can use this in a sentence by saying something like, oh, my head is buzzed, or I'm beginning to buzz, or I'm starting to buzz, which means I'm starting to feel the effects of the drink. Moving on, I have for you one too many, which means sometimes one drink can just feel like you've had too many. That's right, when your initial drink starts to give you either a buzz or starts to get you tipsy, then you say, well, looks like I've had one too many, which means I'm beginning to feel the effects of the drink very early. That's right. So three of these, tipsy, buzzed and one too many, actually have almost the same meaning, but these are used to describe people who've just started drinking, as in, they've just started the party and had their initial one or two drinks. Now moving on, I have for you a list of words to describe people when they are very drunk, meaning they've completely lost count and they don't know how much they've had to drink. So the first one in that list is wasted. Oh yes, it actually means you're very drunk. So if you see someone who has absolutely no idea what they're doing after having a lot of drinks, You could say he or she looks absolutely wasted, which means that person cannot get any more drunk. Moving on, just similar to wasted is hammered. Yes, this too means the person is very drunk. So, getting hammered is all about losing any kind of control or any, last shred of control that you might have. You have no idea what you're saying, you have no idea where you're going, and most probably you don't know which foot is left and which foot is right. So that's all about getting hammered, which means absolutely going crazy, drinking and drinking a lot. Moving on, I have for you blasted. And no, this doesn't have to do with any sort of a blast anywhere. It's as if you're having such a blast, as in you're having such a good time that you've had so many drinks that there is absolutely no count. And it also means that you have no idea what you're doing. So similar to wasted and hammered, we have blasted, meaning very, very drunk. So you could use this in a sentence, saying, well, last night at the party, I got blasted. I had no idea what I was doing. Wow, what fun, sounds like a really great way to let your hair down. So, well, that is blasted for you, which means very drunk. And the same lines I have for you, plastered. Now imagine you're having a contest with your buddies and you've decided to have shots. Shots meaning small tiny drinks which are very, very concentrated and potent. And you have a contest saying, let's see who can do the maximum number of shots. And when you actually drink one shot after another, after a point, trust me, you're going to get plastered. You're never going to know where your head is at. You're never going to know what you're doing, what you're saying, who you're meeting. Now that state of being so drunk is called being plastered or getting plastered. And the next one on the list is quite similar, but this has a very distinct effect. It's called slurring. Now slurring is that state of being so drunk where your words suddenly lose their clarity. You can't even speak straight because your words are all over the place. Didn't get what I was saying? Don't worry, I'm going to translate it for you. Now, slurring is that stage of being drunk when your words stop coming out clearly. They start slurring all over each other. They start, coming out as unclear, and you have no idea what you're saying. And the poor people around you, they definitely have no idea what you're saying. So that stage of getting drunk where your words become unclear is called slurring. Now all of these, starting from wasted to hammered, blasted, plastered and slurring, all of these happen to be used when the person is very drunk. Whereas these, that is tipsy, buzzed or one too many, are used when the person is just beginning to get drunk. Now the next thing I have for you is a list of words that are used to talk about somebody who has gotten drunk or who is getting drunk, but when you want to do this formally, in a formal tone, then what are the words that you're going to use? Well, these, starting with intoxicated. Now imagine you see someone who's drunk, but you don't really know the person or the person's older than you. So instead of saying, excuse me, are you drunk? Or excuse me, you're slurring, you could just be a little more polite and formal and say something like, excuse me, are you intoxicated? Do you need my help? Now that's more formal, but even though intoxicated as a word sounds formal, it actually just means drunk. That's right, so that's one word which means drunk, but you can use it in a more formal manner. Moving on, I have for you inebriated. Now, inebriated means very drunk. So this similar to, intoxicated, you can use inebriated when you want to ask someone or speak about someone who's drunk in a formal manner. So you could say that Mrs. Todd was inebriated last night. Especially if Mrs. Todd is your boss's wife, it would do you good to use the formal tone with her rather than saying something like, "Oh, Mrs. Todd, she was plastered last night." Not so polite and not so formal, that one. So stick to, say, maybe intoxicated or inebriated. And in case you want to be very, very formal, this one should definitely be remembered. So instead of saying he was driving drunk, or he was drunk when he was driving, you could say something like, he was actually under the influence while driving, which means he was under the influence of alcohol or drinks while driving. So under the influence means under the influence of alcohol. Again, this is a formal method of, saying someone's drunk, using under the influence instead of any of these like wasted or hammered or blasted or plastered or slurring, because it actually means the same. The only difference is the tone, which is formal here and which is informal over here. So if you're talking between friends or at a party, with people you're close to, you could use any of these terms, but if you need to actually, take a more formal tone of voice, you could use any of these. So, well, those are my English phrases that describe being drunk. Some describe being a little drunk, some describe being very drunk, and some describe being drunk in a formal manner. Well, I really hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and the next time you're going partying or pub hopping and you plan to get hammered or you plan to get wasted, make sure you remember me and make sure you practice all of these words, and a lot of people will be very impressed with your vocabulary. Well, I really hope you enjoyed today's lesson. If you want access to many more such lessons, make sure you subscribe to our channel. And of course, if you want to say something to me, type in the comment box below. This is me, Rima, signing out, and I'm going to catch you very soon with yet another lesson.